My name is Karina, and I live on Salt Spring Island, which is on the west coast of Canada, with my daughter Ellie Chakra, who's about 8.5. I was born into the height of the independence revolution in Poland in 1981 in a town called Wrocław, which is close to the German border. In 2013, I left Toronto. I was there for about 10 years in a really big masculine corporate position, and I felt like parts of my femininity were dying inside. I really needed something creative to express myself with. So I ended up packing it all up, selling everything, and moving home up north, about an hour and a half on 4 acres of forest. And I started my Instagram account called Wild Goods, which for me at the time, and still does, represents everything that's wild and good on our collective journey of awakening. I believe it was the book Celestial Prophecy that did it for me. I read it and I was like, how is this fiction? I was like, this is not fiction. This is so real. It's like, he gets it. I was 13 and I read the book. There was a part of me that knew what they were talking about. And I was like, okay, I get it. And he gets it. And I felt it in my being. So it was more of an experience and a mental understanding. But then for many years later, I realized that so much of the knowledge that I was taking in and reading and all these new age books and different esoteric teachings, I realized that I was grasping them on a mental level, and that's what I was reaching for. But what was missing from it was the application and the actual experiential part of it, to feel it, to be it, to experience it. So I guess the difference for me was at 13, I felt it, but I understood it more mentally than I do now, having different parts of my brain being able to grasp the experience. And I think just my maturity of soul now is so much different than when it was at 13. You know, I would go and talk to people about it, and they thought I was insane. So I kept it to myself. And I think with the intensity of how much I felt, partly I felt misunderstood, actually quite a bit among friends and family who thought I was really overly sensitive over everything, and I couldn't understand why I felt so much. And as a result of it, and then also experiencing a lot of physical and emotional abuse in my upbringing, coming from my Eastern European background, I believe when I got to high school, kind of gave up my academics. I was in competitive gymnastics and other amazing interests, and I turned to drugs as a way to numb the intensity of what I was feeling and seeing. And yeah, and that lasted for almost 17 years. So it was alcohol, drugs, parties, people that I thought were like me, that understood all those influences that are so easy to get into in high school when we're exposed to them. And I guess what I learned now at 34, looking back, is that all those times when I was doing those things was really because I was longing and yearning for a connection with God, with source energy. I wanted to change my state. I wanted something higher than what I was experiencing on this earthly plane, which was heavy and depressive, and all this violence around and negativity and imprints. And I saw through a lot of it at a young age, and I was like, is anybody awake around here? So I was like, well, whatever. Well, then you know what? I'll just go and experience something else. And that's what we did, except the unfortunate part is, it comes with huge consequences, and it actually lowers your vibration, and you don't stay at those levels. So a big part of my journey now in my 30s, and when I had my awakening a few years ago, is, okay, I get it now. This is how we're going to maintain this level of feeling high naturally and connected to something that's super pure and universal love, really cosmic. So how to stay at that vibration has been what Wild Kids in my journey has been about. Is, okay, I've done the work, I've faced the shadow, it's a lot easier for me now. So how can I spread this message and inspire other women, children, men to do and be the same. There's so many people that are suffering around the world. It feels like everywhere I look, people are either drinking or smoking or doing drugs still to this day, and our society makes it feel like it's a norm and it's okay and it's supported some way. And it's not okay, and I don't think it ought to be the norm because it's such a huge energy vibration suppression. And even calcifying the water, which closes our pineal gland, which is responsible for us seeing and feeling our oneness, and kind of smashing through the separation of illusion, which is what some of these substances are really doing in our system, is keeping us separate, keeping us in fear, keeping us in anger with one another. And this is where a lot of the world's problems are happening right now, because I think Michael Brown is the one who says it. If you take two people that are fighting in a war and then you remove them from the scenario, what's left is the peace that's already there. It's a state, just like love. It's here for us, and it's our own egos and our own kind of like inner battles that we face with ourselves, and as a result we start projecting it onto the world around us. Going back to where the turning point was for me, I had a breakdown, because it was, I guess, who says it? Tony Robbins says it. When the pain of staying the same becomes so strong you can't take it anymore, is when the breakthrough happens, because you start attaching more pleasure to stopping the behavior than more pain associated with not. So that's what happened. I kind of fell down to my knees and I said, what am I doing? And I had a breakdown and it broke through. And I remember really, I guess I don't want to say the word praying, but I did set the intention. I did have a connection with the spirit world. And I said, okay, that is enough. Like, I need help and I need it now. And I want to forget this whole kind of lifestyle and I want to work through my pain. Like, I'm ready, bring it on, show the teacher kind of thing. And that's when it happened. Is very quickly after that, the universe just lined everything up. I got out of my place. My family helped me. They said, move here. I got rid of, disconnected my Facebook account. I kind of stopped talking to all these party associations I had and people, and really had to kind of pull myself out of that scene and into the forest on 4 acres. And a wonderful book came into my awareness. It's very similar to Eckhart Tolle's Power of Now and Stillness Speaks, which are outstanding books, but it's almost like a how-to guide by Michael Brown called The Presence Process. So between those 3 books, I really took that wisdom and was ready somehow in my being to apply it. So it really came down to a decision. Up until that point, I was sitting on the fence a lot, like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. But something that day was different. Something was like, I made the decision. Once I made the decision, all the dormant forces of the universe were like, okay, she's serious. Here you go. This is how it's going to happen. So the process was shown to me. And I ended up going up north. And every day I would do connected breathing for 40 minutes a day. I don't know how I summoned up the will inside of myself, but I did. I just committed, and 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes at night, and things started shifting. I would start seeing into the energy and fabric of our existence. I would start feeling energetically the rage or anger that I've been burying for all these years based on trauma from being raised and some of the experiences that I won't go into detail about, but were traumatic and are for a lot of people around the world that are sensitive and not sensitive to be abused physically or emotionally or sexually or any of the things that our world is kind of up against right now. But what's possible in this message is that it is possible. So you can turn around and you can face that stuff. And some of these books and tools are available for you. And really it is the connected breath. When you start going into it and you start feeling the anger or the sadness or the grief, is to be with the feeling and to sit with it and to allow it and to process it, and for it to kind of go through your system all these years of not repressing it and holding it down. It's not complicated and it's simple, but it does require a decision. So when I started Wild Goods and I started going into some of this healing journey of the connected breathing and overcoming some of these old traumas that were surfacing, I turned to digital photography, and these edits would just start kind of coming out of me. So I would infuse them with Reiki symbols and sacred geometry, and I started getting these energetic creative downloads and tapping into that feminine creative energy that I've been lacking and yearning for and missing for the last 10 years because of my corporate background. And now I'm actually offering it as a service right now. So I do custom photo edits for others, and my community is growing online on my Instagram account, and the people seem to be resonating with the message, which is really humbling. And I feel really grateful that I'm able to contribute, I guess, some of my light work back that way creatively through digital enhanced photography. I don't call myself a healer. I don't like to use those words because I'm not. I'm really just opening up the channel and the source for energy to come through me. And however it's needed on the other end is how it's going to be used. And I'm just maintaining an open and clean source. So that's my journey in life, is to stay as pure as possible. So I'm not doing a lot of the things that I used to do and that a lot of people still do in our society. And I'm almost doing like a social experiment on myself to see what happens if I do this for 5 years, 10 years, 15. Am I essentially growing younger? Right? I mean, people say that your cells can transform in your whole body in 7 years. So I'm about 3 years in. I'm excited to see in 4 years, 5, what is going to happen if I continue down this path of meditating every day and eating superfoods and organic and staying away from toxicity and substances and deep breathing and opening my mind and doing some sort of work that's contributing some sort of light back in the community, and seeing where that takes me and our collective. We'll see what happens.